Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update into modern audio standards. This particular story is called The Human Curse, written by Catman. Kazong stared up at the screen and sighed. The humans had colonized yet another planet, some sun-scorched rock called Lavina, which bordered the territories of the Shadow Collective. He tapped a sharp claw on the bar and called out to the bartender. One of those guys with a million tentacles and just as many consonants in their name. Another glass of antifreeze, I swear, for a species whose biggest contribution to society is good drink. Those humans are getting uppity, settling all over the place, going for seats in the council. Hell, I see kids using their body language in the streets now. It's going to be satisfying when someone takes a liking to one of their new worlds and puts them in their place. The bartender chuckled. At least Kazong thought that's what it was. Even his translator has difficulties figuring out what all those tentacles twitching about meant. I wouldn't count on that anytime soon. Every species with any sense is too scared of the human curse to make a move against them. Kazong tilted his head, confused. Human curse? I mean, their curses are weird, all about copulation and excrement, but I don't see what there is to be scared of. The bartender moved again, this time labeled as incredulous by his translator, though figuring out how the sentient ball of tentacles looked incredulous was beyond Kazong's antifreeze adult brain. Don't spend much time on Galnet, I suppose. It's a big story. It started with some group of pirates that raided a Terran Hellworld and caused a panic by stealing a couple nuclear missiles. Over the course of the next few months, one after another, they turned up dead. And rumor has it that each one had a Denini bite on the side of their neck, just like the guard they killed while stealing the nukes. Spooky, huh? Kazong kept his head in place as the rest of the room rolled from side to side and took another sip of his drink. A little spooky, I guess, but what? A few dead pranksters is enough to justify letting those little Fecks run around like they own the place. Not on my watch. Oh, be careful. You might run into the curse yourself talking like that. Not long after there was this predator on Thorin 5. She started saying that humans were the coming of the Unmaker, that they needed to be stamped out. Really started getting people riled up. Then suddenly comes out that she's involved in illegal polluter fighting, and she goes away for life. Then there was that mining group that went into human territories to mine, and immediately starting having pirates follow them everywhere. By that point, everyone was spooked. And anytime someone was racist on Facebook and then got a paper cut, people would blame the curse. He, she, do masses of tentacles even have genders? Kazong's search history would regret that curiosity for years to come. Leaned in and lowered his voice. There's even rumors that the revolution on the Gentai Republic was because of an old matriarch was going to declare war on the humans. He wrapped a tentacle around the now empty glass, another bringing up antifreeze bottle. Spooky, huh? I'm not complaining. My profits doubled after I started stocking human booze. Another, at Kazong's nod, he poured another glass and slid it across. Kazong chuckled and lifted his glass. Well then, to vengeful spirits who love good drink. I guess the humans can stick around so long as they keep it flowing. He downed the glass in one go, slid a cred stick across the bar, and then stumbled across the unsteady floor towards the door. Turning back to raise his middle claw and wave it at the bartender. Live long and prosper, as they say. See you tomorrow. Commander Sunkar, the Terrible, stood on the bridge of his ship, going over the battle plans for taking the new human colony. The battle itself promised little glory, given the Terran's obsolete ships and planetary defenses. But the prestige of conquering a planet would be a nice pin on his carapace, and a good start to a profitable war for the Shadow Collective. The Terrans had joined the galactic scene barely 30 years ago, so it was no surprise they couldn't hold their ground in a fight. But it was rare to see an upstart species act so provocative. He heard the door open behind him and turned to see one of the lab techs scuttle onto the bridge before saluting.
Lord Sonkar, sir. We have intercepted a Terran communication, sir. It was sent from the Terran fleet to the planet, but they must have underestimated our computers, since they only used a 256-bit encrypt.
Sonkar stamped his foot and pointed a pincer at the tech.
Do not bore me with your technobabble, softshell. What is the import of this message?
The tech quivered for a moment, and the commander's wrath before replying,
It is essential for the troops, sir. Most notably, there is a drill schedule for the militia guarding the planet, which will take them all the way to the far side of the sun. According to this, the planet will be almost completely unguarded in 6 hours.
Sonkar trilled with pleasure and raised a pincer into the air.
Excellent! Defeating their little army would bring little glory, but taking a planet right under their noses of those cocky humans will be a tale worth telling. Begin preparations immediately. I want us combat ready before we hit warp.
He made to turn away, but then noticed the irritating little louse was still skittering from side to side rather than returning to his lab.
What is it, softshell? He asked.
Well, sir, you see, you've heard about the curse of the humans, right? Myself and some of the other soft shells, as you say, you have seen the creepy things that happened to some of the other aggressors against the humans, and, a lot of us are pretty spooked. Since we won't be much help in the battle itself, we were hoping that we could take a couple of shuttles and head back to home just in case, after preparations are complete, of course.
Sonkar roared with laughter.
Superstitious cowards, the lot of you. There is no Terran curse, just a couple coincidence cowards like you use it as an excuse to run away. Very well, take your shuttles before we jump. More glory for the rest of us.
The tank scurried away, and Sonkar returned to his battle plans as the fleet came to readiness. As they jumped into warp, he had some time to think about the human curse. Of course, not being a superstitious coward, he didn't believe in nonsense like vengeful spirits. But the more he thought on it, the more that niggling shadow of a doubt told him there was something more than a bunch of coincidences going on. Before he knew it, his ship was coming out of warp, and that nagging shadow became an ominous dread as his communications officers called out,
Commander, I'm reading multiple hostiles in front and behind. There appears to have been a jump mishap. Only half of our fleet is present, and we came out scattered amongst the enemy.
Damn! Get an ETA on the rest of the fleet and open fire as we regroup with those that did make it,
Sonkar cursed, and slammed his claw into the control panel.
I'm trying, sir. I can't get a response. There's too much noise. It looks like a solar flare.
There is no such thing as curses. There is no such thing as curses. There is no such thing as curses,
he thought as he watched missiles and particle beams track their targets on the tactical display. Contacts and allies dropping one by one.
Commander, it looks like the rest of our fleet just warped in behind us. Finally, wait. What? They're firing missiles?
The smell of ozone filled the bridge as circuits burned out.
Direct hit. Amp shields critical. They're ready for another attack, sir. Orders, the tactical officer chatted in panic.
There are no such things as curses. There is no such thing.
The commander, Sonkar, and the Terrible interrupted his thoughts by slamming a pincer into the console again.
Damn it! If this curse wants to drag me to hell, I'm going kicking and screaming. Fire everything we've got to the hostile targets. Let's show the curse we don't spook so easily.
Jordan Richter sat, reclining on a lounge chair on a scenic beach, gazing out at the sunset. His phone buzzed, and he set down his mojito to check those messages. FF-17 is a ghost at a screen. He put it away and reclaimed his drink, sitting back in his lounge chair and flipping down his sunglasses against the sun sinking into the Lebanon's ocean. He looked up at the fireworks beginning far above the first of Gentai trade convoy, then the Shadar fleet, then a local pirate gang, each warped into the field of IFF, Identity Friend Foe Scramblers, and the area of artificial solar flares, and promptly opened fire on each other. Relations between the Shadar Collective and the Gentai Republic were already rocky, and the discovery of a Shadar fleet destroying Gentai traders would start a war on the far side of the Collective's territory. By the time they were sorted out, Humans would have infiltrated enough labs and stolen enough tech to fight competitively with these advanced Xenos. The head of the Galactic Intelligence Agency sipped his mojito and grinned as he pictured humanity's bright future. The fireworks began to die down before flaring up again briefly as the planet's militia returned from their drill just in time to mop up the dregs. A few minutes later, his phone buzzed again. Mission success. Jordan finished his mojito, stood up with a sigh, and thought to himself, Damn, it's a good year to be a spook. End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.